guys, it's Emma again. So we're on video number 3, and I'm kind of going on the same token as my last video of just kind of sequentially going into in order of emails that I get and the volume and the most common theme. And the next one is why Ross, and kind of the pros and cons throughout other medical schools of why I didn't choose SEBA or St. George's. Way too expensive at St. George's, and why I'm here. So I think I'll start with the cons just because I think it'd be kind of nice to end on like a really nice note and all the pros of why I'm here. And so we'll start with, it is the Caribbean route. And I think a lot of people are scared to do this route. And I completely understand. I definitely had trepidation at first as well. But going to the seminar in Toronto, that was kind of my first experience with Ross. Tom Harkness delivered an amazing presentation and I fell in love with it. And I was like, okay, let's do this. So I did get MERPed, which is a preliminary program that I had to pass to make sure that I was okay, just because my MCAT score was really low. And I can definitely do a video on that of success in medical school with like a low MCAT, which I don't think there's any correlation at all. So the Caribbean route is a little bit scary just because you hear these horror stories and you hear the stigma, which I've put in quotation marks, because it is the alternative route and it kind of is like the long way route, I guess, especially going back to Canada. I have to take like 3 extra exams to practice in Ontario. But it really is not that different. I mean, the biggest thing is your step 1 score. And I say that time and time again. I got an email the other day that said, which Caribbean school is the easiest to get good grades? I mean, at the end of the day, it's all med school, whether you're in your home country or whether you're in a third world country or whether you're just in Europe, or it's still med school. I mean, the grades matter and you put that effort in. So my email back was probably the most blunt I've been ever and said, it doesn't matter the school that you go to get the easier grades. It's you. It's what you do as a student and it's your effort and you're going to get the good grades that you want as long as you put the effort in. I personally don't feel like there's any stigma at all. Ross has a huge alumni base and we kind of stick together and kind of help each other throughout the steps. And so we will definitely get to that kind of on the pro side. But it is the Caribbean route. It's a little bit different. It's definitely out of your comfort zone. If you haven't traveled, if you haven't kind of seen the world, coming down to Dominica is going to be an adjustment for sure. But I personally think that the Caribbean route is awesome. And I'm not just saying that because I didn't get into Canada. If I got accepted to Canada, would I go? 100%. But the fact that I'm here, I'm making the best of it. I think your attitude for sure makes the experience. The clinical department, I'm kind of wetting my toes into now. I haven't really had to deal with them all throughout basic sciences because we weren't in that clinical department yet. So now that I'm done basic sciences, the communication is a little non-existent. And I say that because I would start IMF in January, which is a little preliminary 6-week course before clinicals that Ross basic science graduates have to go into before clinicals start. And there's not much information on it. And going to the site of IMF on Ross is actually amazing, but it's more so after IMF kind of starting clinicals, you don't know your track until you're in IMF or like that week before. So it's very hard to plan. And a lot of the clinical advisors don't know the programs that are open, and there's a lot that are closing. And then there are some that are opening at the last second. So that I feel is kind of sporadic. And going from basic sciences that are like really structured and really regimented to kind of going to like, oh, we don't really know what kind of clinical core you want to do, or clinical track you want to do. But these are open, these are open, these are open right now, but they could all close by the time it hits January. So that's where it's kind of tough. I have a couple emails in right now because I actually haven't physically scheduled STEP. So a lot of people in the US, because I'm on island right now, have gotten emails to schedule STEP, and I haven't yet. And so I'm like, hey guys, I'm still here, and I need to schedule my step 1. So that's where I'm kind of feeling that frustration a little bit. And I know they can't help it. I know a lot of clinical advisors really get emails frequently saying, oh, this location's closed, this has opened, and kind of hope for the best. So I know it's not really on them, but it's been really hard to plan, just because I like structure and I like having like a definitive plan, and that's been kind of hard to deal with. Money, yeah. Med school's expensive. It really is, especially when you go to Ross or any other Caribbean school. I know SEBA's a little bit cheaper, but we can definitely touch on that when we get to campus and facilities. But yeah, it's really expensive, guys. It sucks. But I feel like every med school student has this struggle, especially when I'm Canadian and I am paying American tuition and the dollar sucks right now. It's been hard. I mean, you definitely can't have like this frivolous life that you're buying all these amazing things and you're yachting every week or you're going on a catamaran ride. I mean, it's expensive. I mean, we definitely buy all of our groceries and make all of our food. I do buy coffee on campus and I eat out some days. But yeah, it's definitely like you got to watch your money, and especially if you are Canadian and paying an American tuition, that conversion rate is a good chunk that you're kind of losing in that conversion. But again, it's a sacrifice. You're going to be in a profession that you can pay it back. You can get in a rural area that will actually do like a tuition payback system where they grant you residency and then they actually pay your tuition. So that would be awesome. That would be amazing. And so I don't know if Canada does that, but I know the US has done a couple programs like that. And the stigma, this is kind of the last thing that I wanted to touch on about the cons, just because I feel like there isn't any. I don't know. I just feel that when you meet other alumni that said like you go to Ross, it's kind of like, oh, cool, you went to Ross. I mean, at the end of the day, your patient's not really going to care if it says Ross University or another US or Canadian school. They're going to make sure that you're personable, you're like appropriate, you're professional, you get the job done, and you are respectful. I mean, a piece of paper is not going to really make you the best physician possible. I mean, it's who you are. It's in your inherent nature. So to be honest, I personally would want a physician that didn't take no for an answer. I mean, if I honestly listened to Canadian med schools and said, no, you're not good enough, and I actually emailed Northern Ontario School of Medicine that want rural students, and I'm rural as it can get. I said, I will drive up to Northern Ontario, which is like an 18-hour drive, and I will meet with anyone who I want to meet. And I literally got an email back saying, don't bother. Like, if I listened to the Canadian med school applications and all the process, I wouldn't be halfway a doctor right now. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that don't take no for an answer. And if it means going to Ross, if it means going to SABA, if it means going to the UK or Ireland, then do it, because you're not going to be happy. What's 15 more years down the road and you're going to look back and be like, oh, I really wish I did that. And there are people here that are like 55, 50, 45. I met some amazing students here that are either like went into lawyer or a nursing or a PA, and they weren't fulfilled. So why not do it? So that's kind of like my power to you guys, to say, take the jump and worry about the landing later. That's like my biggest mantra. Okay, on that note, let's do the pros real quick. I don't want this to be a really lengthy video because I know we are really busy, and I really should be step studying. So pros, the campus is actually really beautiful. And like I said before, the pictures don't really do it justice. Like the videos, you can find a couple drone ones, I think, online. But until you're here and actually experience it, it's actually a really pretty campus. All the facilities are equipped with TVs. They have like the monitors, they have microphones, you can hear them all throughout. And yeah, it's actually really good. The anatomy lab is absolutely beautiful. That was our first semester gross anatomy. There was a 25 cadaver bed anatomy lab that's absolutely beautiful. I know Ross on Facebook posted like a 360 picture of the anatomy lab, so definitely go check that out. I think that definitely needs to be is harped on more, because it's absolutely beautiful. And I don't know a lot of universities that have that many beds, and it's really pretty. And I really enjoyed anatomy because of that experience. And media site, which is really great. I have a friend at SABA actually that is just finishing up now on island, and they have mandatory classes from 8 to 5 on island, like on campus, sorry. Obviously on island. So they have to be on campus from 8 to 5. What I love about Ross is that they understand that students have a different learning style. Like, I thought I was a class goer. I thought I would go to class every day and like be done by 5, and that drastically changed. I mean, your study schedule changes all the time. And I ended up media siting, which is they video record all of the lectures and then post it after the lecture is done. So it's live, but like an hour later. And I studied, instead of like 8 to noon, I think it was first semester, I would do 9 to 1 if the media site lectures were on time that day, because sometimes that should be a con. Some days they were a little bit late, but not insanely late, just so maybe about an hour or a half an hour, which seems like an eternity when you're trying to get the lectures done, but it's not too bad. But media site for me saved me. It really did. And not having to like wake up and be on campus all day. If I had lectures from like 8 to noon, I could get them done from 9 to 1, and then kind of have the rest of the day to either go on campus and kind of get a couple errands done there, or if I'm not feeling that well that day, I don't need to get up, I can actually watch lectures later. So that, I loved media site for that. And it definitely helped me get Dean's List for sure. The clinical program at Ross is really good. I've talked to Saba and talked to a couple people at St. George's that their clinical department is kind of lacking. Not the communication that I was talking about here, like our actual clinical program where we actually have simulation. We have Harvey heart sounds, which is awesome. We have ESP, we have special interviews, we have our big AIST practical that you have in fourth semester. And I know these are kind of all terms you guys don't know now, but our clinical program is really well run and I feel very prepared going into clinicals. I know IMF will definitely help with that as well. But yeah, our clinical program has been rated probably one of the top, not personally by me, but by a couple people commenting on my pictures being like, wow, you have sim? Like we don't have that. And yeah, so I'm really excited to kind of delve into the next chapter because of our clinical program. And the match. So I have a couple numbers for you guys because I get a lot of emails asking like, I'm so nervous for residency appointments. I don't know if like Ross is good enough, or at the end of the day, it really is up to you. I mean, Ross will give you the tools, but at the end of the day, you have to use them. And that really is step one. You have to kill it. You have to. There's no other way. You just have to get a good score if you want a specialty. And even family medicine, you need to get the best score that you possibly can. So in 2015, Ross actually matched 830 students. 830. That was actually their record. And it was an 88% first attempt. So that means that if you enter the match on your first attempt and you match, that's amazing. And 88% of people did that. And that's a pretty good number. I'm really happy with that number. If it was like 50%, so you're entering the match and it's a 50-50 chance you'll match, that's not good. But an 88% first time attempt to enter the match is a really good score. And then in 2016, there was 785 students that matched. So, I mean, those numbers don't lie. If Ross was that bad of a school or didn't have a clinical program or didn't prepare students for step one well enough, they wouldn't match anyone. And they're matching hundreds of students every year. And that's huge. I'm excited. I mean, if that doesn't give you goosebumps to be like, yeah, it's happening. It works. If you put the work in, you get a good score, you go through clinicals and put your work in, you will probably match. I mean, it's your favor. And then really quick, the first attempt to match rate for that to enter the match in 2016 was 86%. So again, still a pretty fair score. I'm really happy with that. And again, the numbers don't lie. So take that with what you will, guys. I love Ross. I'm a huge advocate for it if you guys haven't read my blog or watched the first couple videos of my YouTube channel, but I'm really happy with my time here. I really am. And I'm not just saying that to get viewers or to get blog followers. I'm being 100% real with you guys, is that I'm really happy I chose, because I would either be, sadly, probably not pursuing anything medical. I was so mad at Canada, and not for the fact that I got rejected, because it happens all the time, but it was the fact that how they dealt with it. I was just another number. And for Ross, I really feel appreciated here. And I say hi to all my professors, and it's a really close-knit community. So I hope this video helped. It's about 13 minutes. I hope it's not too long for you guys. I don't have any annotation that you guys can click to fast forward. So if you're watching the whole video, I want to say thank you. And I will try and get a campus video tour up hopefully soon. And I hope it's not raining, because every single time I went to go do a video of the campus, it's pouring rain. Welcome to Dominica. So I just want to say thanks, guys. And I hope this answers some of your kind of trepidation or hesitation to maybe put that resume in or call student services at Ross. And you guys will be in good hands, I promise, and I'm always here to help. Bye, guys.